Enemy sabotage and reconnaissance groups are infiltrating Pokrovsk. Urban combat is still a long way off, but Russian infantry continues to be spotted on the outskirts, trying to break into the city. Russian drones almost completely control the skies over the city and are trying to cut off its supply routes. It is becoming increasingly difficult for our infantry to reach their positions. So, is there a risk of losing the city, and how are the defense forces holding it? TSN special correspondent Yulia Kyrienko will tell us more. Watch her report from the front line.
Continuous tunnels of netting. This is what the roads of Donetsk region look like now, even those in the rear. They are constantly being stretched out to protect supply routes because the enemy has significantly increased attacks with FPV drones. Near Pokrovsk, the Russians are pressing both in the air and on the ground, the soldiers say. Here our pilots spot 3 occupiers heading to the trench to change shifts. This is already the 3rd group since dawn trying to infiltrate the city.
Some are killed, others keep coming. It's like this all the time.
To slip into residential neighborhoods, fortify themselves in basements, find hiding spots, and wait for reinforcements to push deeper into Pokrovsk. That's the Russian tactic. According to the deep state map, the city itself is already half encircled. After the breakthrough near Dobropilya, things have become even more difficult. While street fighting in Pokrovsk itself is still mostly on the outskirts and most neighborhoods are controlled by the defense forces, the same can't be said about the skies over the city.
These small groups are destroyed as they approach Pokrovsk. If by chance someone manages to slip through somewhere in bad weather, clearance and detection teams immediately go to work. Some sabotage and reconnaissance groups have already managed to get in. We saw it, everyone saw it. So yes, you could say that there have already been clashes inside the city itself.
200 sorties from a single point. That's how many drones just one Russian crew launches, according to the military. Such a massive aerial assault makes it extremely difficult for our infantry to advance. For up to 6 months without rotation, soldiers have to stay in the trenches because the route to them is the most dangerous, and getting to the positions can take several days.
For 3 days, sometimes even longer, they are forced to hide somewhere, waiting until the enemy's attention shifts away from them. If we take Pokrovsk now, groups are already entering there on foot. From there, they then move accordingly and navigate through the various areas of the city's urban landscape.
Despite this, the front line around Pokrovsk remains stable. Even though we have fewer drones, our pilots are more accurate. Here is one of those occupiers who tried to break into Pokrovsk. He will remain in the forest belt.
We are observing the operation of an FPV drone on fiber optic cable. The brave and determined crew took off with their powerful aircraft to effectively strike at the enemy infantry forces that had aggressively entered a certain specific section of the dense tree line. And here, tragically, he is lying on the ground, completely exposed, and accordingly, the vigilant pilot skillfully found him and precisely struck the target. Where he got to, that's where he stayed.
Dmitro, an instructor for the Sichislav paratroopers, teaches pilots how to strike with such precision. During the battles at Kotlin, a volunteer soldier destroyed several dozen Russians in just half a day of work.
The battalion commander comes up to us and says, "We're about to set a record, guys." And that's it. So we really tried to break that record. About 60 in, well, a single daylight period.
After several injuries, he was taken to the battalion headquarters so he could command all the pilots, because no one else had studied Russian tactics and their weaponry as thoroughly as he had.
And then the battalion commander calls and says, "Your experience and practice are needed at headquarters." That's all.
Now he is overseeing the flight of a pilot who is finishing off an attempt by 3 Russians to break through to Pokrovsk.
It's already smoking. They won't be there for much longer.
Yulia Kyrienko, Natalia Kucherenko, Alexander Shian, Ole Mostovi, TSN 1+1, Marathon United News.
Russian troops have advanced near 4 settlements in Zaporizhzhia and Dnipropetrovsk regions. This was reported by the analytical portal Deep State. This refers to the villages of Novoivanivka, Olhivske, Vishneve and Ternove. These directions are part of an active front line where the Russians are trying to secure control over logistically important routes, analysts explain. The Novopavlivka and Pokrovsk directions remain the most difficult. Just there, in the past 24 hours alone, the enemy attacked nearly 100 times. In total, there were 231 engagements recorded along the front line, according to the General Staff. In particular, the occupiers tried 17 times to break through our defenses in the Turkish sector. And although the enemy's goal in these assaults is to seize at least a few meters of Ukrainian land, the defense forces are doing their utmost to hold their positions. According to the General Staff, our soldiers successfully struck 3 areas where Russian troops and equipment were concentrated. In the northern border area of Sumy region, the crews of heavy bombers from the 71st Separate Ranger Brigade of the Air Assault Forces have switched to round-the-clock operations. Dense forests with ravines allow the occupiers to secretly approach the forward positions of our defenders, and that's when the vampires rush to the infantry's aid. Reaching the starting positions and rotating crews in the Sumy region is an extremely dangerous ordeal on its own. Transport is often unavailable or breaks down, so our soldiers are in great need of pickup trucks. The QR code on your screens during this segment is specifically for raising funds to buy pickups for our fighters. A report by TSN correspondent Alexander Motorny is coming up for your attention right now. That's it, Fab, by the way, 8.5 kilograms.
Boom, boom, boom. Inside? Yes. Onto the expansive territory we venture now.
It goes through, yes. Powerful mines with grenades.
If it hits the target, you could say, well, the phrase is hooray, hooray, yes.
And concealed engineering barriers and explosive traps.
The main number of mines was, as usual, strategically laid where they were most needed, and the unsuspecting enemy would inevitably get caught by them, by these dangerous mines.
Their primary task is to deliver, with the highest possible accuracy and precision, everything that can stop the enemy under their feet, under their wheels, on their armor, or even right on the heads of the Muscovites. There are some days when the heat is truly unbearable, indeed. The 70th 1st Jaeger Brigade of the Ukrainian Air Assault Forces entered the Sumy direction in May, right after exhausting battles in the Donetsk region. Its crews rested for just a few hours, explains the curator, the commander of the brigade's company of strike unmanned aviation complexes, while on the road to the north. And as soon as they reached the front line, the Jaeger vampires took off to kill and stop the occupiers.
What can I say? There are hills where the enemy was completely destroyed in the zone of responsibility. Those are our brigades. Essentially, that's about 2 motorized rifle regiments, just infantry that was wiped out. That is, this is only what has been confirmed.
All spring and summer, they kept pushing their forces towards Sumy, to the section of the northern Ukrainian border between Stepny and Myropilya, with the length of the main combat contact line being no more than 50 kilometers. The headquarters of the enemy's Sever troop grouping threw in almost 50,000 assault troops, mainly regiments with battalions of elite Russian naval infantry and paratroopers, along with a huge amount of equipment, with massive support from artillery and aviation.
It was very nice. So, a couple of 200. The rest, who were more or less alive, maybe they're 300.
Boxer, the pilot of the heavy bomber from the 71st Yaharska, together with his fellow vampires, has already destroyed dozens of Russian assault troops and burned more than one enemy armored vehicle in the Sumy region. The Muscovites probably already saw themselves in the regional center and even a quarter of 100 kilometers further. But the Yehar paratroopers, shoulder to shoulder with their comrades from other units, stopped the occupiers on their way to Sumy. They say thanks to the Ukrainian bomber pilots, the situation changed significantly.
Now there is less equipment, more infantry.
Enemy vehicles in the Sumy region, at least in the defense zone of the 71st Brigade, our soldiers say, haven't been seen for many weeks in a row. Instead, the dense forests and ravines, Ukrainian soldiers admit, allow small enemy assault groups to approach the forward positions of our infantry.
There's a lot of activity in the greenery behind the tree lines, where it's possible to move without being noticed. That's why it happens this way. It seems like everything is flying, everything is killing, but it's impossible to see it all. There's still plenty of greenery. More than enough. So for at least the next 3 weeks, we should definitely expect highly active assault operations.
For now, Ukrainian soldiers have generally halted the large-scale advance of the Russians in the north. But our defenders admit that there are still a lot of enemy forces in the Sumy region. Meanwhile, this year's lush greenery, says the coordinator, And in the Sumy region, of course, not today, not tomorrow, but soon it will inevitably fall.
In our unit, the sappers actually talk to the platoon leader, and he says, "I'm patiently waiting for these autumn leaves to finally fall."
Reporting from the border area in Sumy region, Alexander Motornay, Oleksiy Osavchuk, and Serhiy Shportilov. TSN -1-1. Marathon is United News.